Okay, there you go. Okay, so well, as I wrote in here, my name is Juan García, and the sales and export manager of Linaje García and Astil Winery. Um, just basically say that I've been living in London for 8 years, from 1987. That's why I brought the English to the winery. But obviously, my type of expression sometimes might not be understood. So, Tony, Sarah, Anna, if you don't understand anything, just say, hey, we didn't understand, because obviously my pronunciation is not entirely American. Um, okay, so saying that, we are here to introduce this family business allocated in Spain. We are a third generation family run business with two small traditional wineries where we make a very healthy and complex wines. And I would like to underline these two words because they are the pillars of the winery: healthy and complexity in our wines. And during the presentation, you will know why. Um, so where are we? Uh, so we are in the southwest of Europe, in the Iberian Peninsula. I think we all know where Spain is anyway. Spain, famous for our fantastic cuisine and delicious wine. Sunny country, if you're living in the south, but if you're living in the north, the climate changed completely, despite some attached cliches, because not all Spain is a paradise of palm trees, as some people think. So anyway, here in Spain, uh, we are in Castilla y León. So Castilla y León is one of the states, or as we say here, autonomous communities, with almost 3 million population living in 9 provinces. We are in the province of Burgos. This is about 140 miles north Madrid, in a town called Castrillo de la Vega, within what is called the heart of the Duero, or the Golden Mile. Duero here is the name of the river that crosses the Ribera del Duero wine district. So, we're gonna listen during this presentation a lot about Ribera del Duero, which is the wine district, and the Duero River, which is the river that crosses this region. So, saying that, the following map show the orography of Spain, which is very varied from north to south, and from the east to west, showing the altitude according to colors. So there are 5 mountain ranges, as you can see, that crosses the country. About 50% of it are located in an elevated plain. Landscape here are extremely varied, as you can see, some almost desert-like, other green and fertile, and of course there are the long coast in the east, along all the Mediterranean, from the Pyrenees to Gibraltar, famous for those looking the sun and the Mediterranean cuisine. And in the west, the major part of the Iberian Peninsula, western coast, is occupied by Portugal along the ocean and the Cantabric Sea. If we get a little bit deeper into Castilla y León, in the orography, that is also very varied and surrounded by a lot of mountain system, as you can see in the map. We look at the north, we have what is called Picos de Europa and León mountains. In the east, we have the Manda, Urbión, Moncayo mountain system, and in the south, the central mountain system that separates us from the province of Madrid, which is the capital, the city of Spain, the center of Spain. And obviously many of these rains and snow water of this mountain system arrive in the Duero River. which is the river that crosses our wine region. So going next, we're looking here at the geography that surrounds us already within the core of the wine activity that we have. Let's say that within the wine, within the Ribera del Duero wine region, we find more altitude to the east if we're going toward Soria, but also if we're going to the north and south, we find mountains. I mean, therefore, all the entire vineyard area is on the lower slopes of this valley, where the Duero River will be the axis of the entire area. So as you can see in the map, and this map comprises all our wine district within Spain. So in the Ribera del Duero wine district, there are several important cities that I would like to mention. Segovia, Burgos, Soria, and Valladolid, and each of them has its own town with a total of 118. So if we are around 3 million population in Castilla y León area, the area that comprise Ribera del Duero wine district might have around 1.2 million people living. So, I mean, obviously a little bit far from, if we compare it with any number that you have in the smaller state of the America, but I mean, we are quite a few here. So on the next slide, we can finally see our wine district. Nowadays, within the Ribera del Duero wine district, there are 295 wineries registered, quite a few if we compare it with a few decades ago. The denomination of origin, as we know it today, arises after the initiative of a series of wine growers and winemakers concerned with promoting the vineyard and the quality of the wine of the Ribera del Duero. So the first act that is included in the books of the Regulatory Council dates from July 23rd, 1980. That's the date where the agency acted provisionally. Then 2 years later, on July 21, 1982, the Minister of Agriculture granted the Ribera del Duero the denomination of origin and approved its fair regulation. So since then, here in Ribera del Duero, the implementation of new cultivation practices, the introduction of the most modern technologies of winemaking and control processes has been applied by the Regulatory Council in the Ribera del Duero. So this is a synonym of quality. Okay, differentiating elements. Some of the elements that differentiate us from other wine areas which are the altitude, latitude, climate, the type of terrain, temperatures, the thermal differences between day and night. So makes our grapes grow healthy, very healthy. At higher altitudes and more extreme climates, it is more difficult for bugs and bacteria to affect our vines. So then for all these, the vineyards are healthy because we don't need to sulfate them, or we sulfate them 1 or 2 twice per year, just as a precaution. Unlike the rest of other wine areas where sulfating or automatic irrigation, it is a very constant practice throughout the annual cycle of the vine. We can find this in many different areas. So if we go in one by one of the differentiating elements, we see the first one, the altitude that we have in Ribera del Duero, that it has an average of 750 to 850 meters on both sides of the Duero River. So, and even in some peaks, there are even 1,000 meters of altitude. So, I mean, if you can compare with other wine districts, we are much higher than many, you know, like Burgundy, Bordeaux. Also, the latitude, which is another element, that being at the 41 latitude, we are more or less in the middle, that supposedly bring us a warm climate, but having this altitude, our vineyards do not suffer as much from the summer heat at this latitude. So again, the comparison with other wine regions, like, Burgundy or Bordeaux, Napa Valley, are quite significant. I mean, just as a reference, we don't need to go much into that. The climate, we have continental with an Atlantic influence climate. So we have a very cold winter, making the vegetative cycle of the vine very shorter, which is a limiting factor in terms of production. And then the summer, which are very short and hot. Okay, I will extend a little bit more here in the soils and terroir, because I think it is also a very significant element. I like to differentiate the different soils that we have, not only in Ribera del Duero, as well within our states. Near the river, the Duero River, you can find basically gravel and sand, with a slope very safe by the erosion of the water. Then if we go into toward Burgos, which is the north, we will find a good balance between clay and limestone. To the east, if we go in toward East Soria, Caleruega area, all the soils are very rich in clay, comprises fine grains of sand and rock, but retain both water and heat, making this all incredibly fertile. And if we go in toward the west, through Valladolid, we find basically a limestone that usually, contribute enough acidity and minerality to the wine. So our vineyards, being located in these different areas, both east, west, and next to the river, makes our wines differentiated element where you can find much of what the soil contribute to them. So we have entry-level wines, which are very fresh and aromatic wines from soils next to the river that give very good acidity and freshness. It is true that it requires more attention due to some frost and at the end of April and May, but the results are quite excellent. And the wine with the most aging time in oak barrels, crianzas and reservas, that come from soil with good balance in lime and clay, those normally come from different vineyards of altitude that provide many nutrients to the vine, and therefore health and complexity. Anyway, I don't know if Tony, you perhaps have heard about the terms of crianza and reserva that some of our wines use to determine the aging of time they've been in barrels. Anyway, we can go through that just a few slides later. I would like to just go through the temperature, because here in Ribera del Duero, the thermal oscillations are very pronounced. We have between day and night oscillation of up to 20 degrees, and between summer and winter, we have 42 degrees in summertime, and we go into winter with -20. Not all the time. This is no Michigan or Wisconsin that you get there very cold and a big frost. But, being in Spain, north of Spain, and have some days in -20 is quite of a different, quite of a big oscillation. So during the day with the sun, the grape develop with a perfect maturation, with the accumulation of sugar. And then during the night with the cold, it maintain the acidity. This is obviously a great theme for the development for the grape. Okay, if we go in to the rain, another characteristic that determines the quality of the wine in this area is the amount of rains that fall throughout the year compared to other wine area. I mean, very little, as you can see. That's why the root of the vine has to go much more deeper, looking for the water. And at the same time, you get all the kind of mineral nutrient that promote its growth. So, in this aspect, let me compare. I always do that. I don't know if Gabby does. He say his thing, I say my thing. I like to compare the vine with the human being. I mean, it's not as crazy as you think. And Gabby as well, I think, has compared it in some occasion. I mean, let's say that a person who has, no concerns in life, who has no fight for goals, who is all day like Homer Simpson, the truth is this person will have no much to say, isn't it? To teach or to show, well, unless that you are Kardashian, right? And then there are all of us who has fought for all our goals. We have brought our best, that we have to achieve what we want. And we have a lot to say and a lot to tell. So in the same way are the vines. The more difficult they have to grow and develop, the better the quality of the grape they will bring to life. But if you give everything, you need to the vine, irrigation water, a pleasant temperature throughout the year, you continuously sulfate them, so they are too protected, it won't need to work, and therefore they will be lazy. The roots will not deepen, and the quality of the grape will not be that good. Am I right? I mean, I don't know if this example has been very valid, but well, I think the vine it has very similarities than the human. Anyway, the next element is the distance to the sea. Being close to the sea also will determine a lot the type of climate and obviously the salinity of the wines. Also, being close to the sea, when you're making white wines mainly, can favor them and offer a good acidity, which is very necessary in a white wine. But for reds, in particular, our wines, the dryness of the environment means there are fewer pests, less vine diseases, and better phenolic maturation. I mean, we do not have to sulfate the vinegar, and the result, the grapes are much healthier. And this is what we are finally look for, I mean, in the wine, isn't it? Natural and healthy wines. The distance to the mountain. I mean, being surrounded by mountains, it also means that the nutrients obtained by the vine from the soils are very varied. These sediments were generated over the centuries in the mountain faults. We know that. Also, the snow generated on the top of the mountains is natural water that at the end of the day ends up in the river and in the subsoil layers. Also, being surrounded by mountains makes temperature cooler during winter, so it's all benefits at the end of the day. Mist and frost, right? Perhaps this is one disadvantage, one of the peculiarities that we have in our region with the frost. Also in some wine areas as well, but it is very common that we get some frost during spring. Actually, when it was back in 2017, in April, when the vine sprouted, a frozen most of the sprout of the vinegar. This year, I think, was one of the most difficult years, isn't it, Gabby? Having lost around 70% of our production. I think the thermometers collapsed between 2 and 7 in the morning due to the accumulation of cold air in the lowest layer of the atmosphere. There was no weather forecast. Nothing could be done to contain the frost. So a big nightmare. I mean, we hope it won't happen again, but obviously in the field, every year is a new experience and anything can happen. We hope it won't happen too often. So day and night temperature. Well, I think I said it before, such a great fluctuation of temperature between day and night is very good for the growth and development of the vine. So during the day, the heat makes the grape get the sugar, and the night with the cold, it maintains its acidity. It will always bring a very good phenolic maturation. What is this maturation about? I don't know if you are concerned with the phenolic maturation. This is basically indicate the optimal state of those phenolic components, such as the tannin or anthocyanins. You probably, Tony, have heard about the tannins or anthocyanins. Basically, this will provide most of the aromas of the wine. So having this phenolic maturation, we will have a better anthocyanins and tannins. I don't know if I pronounce it well, but okay. I mean, you might put the Tony's microphone on in case of because perhaps you have any doubt.
Hand it off.
Because I don't know if I say well anthocyanins and tannins.
Understood. I can understand.
Okay. Right. Going next, the dryness in our environments. I mean, we return again to the comment of the importance of the dryness of this environment that we have here in Ribera del Duero, especially during the maturation and variation cycle. I think it's very beneficial for the vine, both in terms of phenolic maturation of the anthocyanins and the tannins, as we have said, because later will contribute with aromas, color, flavor to the wine. Also, the weather conditions, so dry, again, is less likely to get less infection or viral diseases. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the important thing that the vine, the vine are healthy, and when we drink a wine that do not carry any artificial chemical substance to enhance the attributes, or because it's being protected too much with sulfuric, and I have to say that this is, again, unfortunately, a very common practice in many wineries. So we care too much, about being natural and trying to not be human intervention, less human intervention than other they might get. Grapes, yes, okay, this is important to retain. Okay, I don't know if you know, mainly the grape in Ribera del Duero wine district is Tinta del País, or also named, as you probably know, Tempranillo. This is a grape variety of thick skinned and bluish color. It is, its name is the diminutive of temprano, that means in Spanish early. So early will be temprano, which refers, yeah, basically is it refers to the fact that it matured several weeks earlier than most of the grapes. So that's why the reason of temprano.
Oh, okay.
Tempranillo early, okay? The production of wine is also, there is some other grapes allowed in Ribera del Duero, obviously, such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Garnacha Tinta, which is the red Garnacha, the red Grenache, Malbec, Merlot, Albillo Mayor, which is the white grape, as long as 75% of the wine come from Tempranillo grape. So this is a must in our regulatory council. But we made 100% Tempranillo wines. I mean, we like it like that. We have made many variation. But at the end, we like the single varietal of Tempranillo because, it's nice to get the potential out of it. It brings a lot of aromas, and, it expresses a lot of the terroir where the vine has been grown. So it's for us, Tempranillo, 100% so far is excellent to go with. And the clones here, not really much to say. I mean, as you can see here, the first three, 98, 179, 261 are the authentics. One from Ribera del Duero, isn't it, Gabi? From the ancient clones, and the one we've been planted for many years. And then the 306 is the one for Toro wine region, but it does very well here in this environment too, so we also have it. But anyway, Tony, if you want to know anything about clones, whenever Gabi knows English, he will give you a big, his expertise in clones. Yield, okay, the yield, what we can say, we have a maximum production allowed by the Regulatory Council of 7,000 kilos per hectare of vinegar. But obviously, since in our vinegar we select a lot during the pruning season, during the harvest, and then at the selection table, at the end we collect about 3,500 3,700 kilos of grape per hectare. Of course, it has also have to be that we have 3,000 vines planted per hectare, and well, I mean, this is also very beneficial for the roots because it spreads more and can better nourish themselves from the minerals in the soil. So this is an advantage for the good development of the plant, but obviously it's a disadvantage for Gabi's pocket. But anyway, this is getting into internal discussions. Okay, maturation and harvest. Our harvests usually take place at the beginning of October. Previously, during September, the grape tasting are carried out, where again here Gabi is becoming a quite expert. We usually harvest about 13 to 15 alcohol degrees in the grapes. So, we usually gather all the family together during the harvest time, meet in early morning, strong cup of coffee, strong breakfast, getting ready for the day. We harvest obviously by parcel, normally started in the States next to the river, which the grapes mature earlier, and normally we end up by the state farther east where it gets a little colder and the grapes take a little longer to mature. Of course, we pick up the grapes manually and we keep them in small cases, transported later inside the winery. So Tony, if you want to learn how fantastic it is to harvest and how to break your bones, you are more than welcome to come and give us a hand. Okay, tradition and history. Again, this is a part where Gabi can talk for hour and hour and hour. But you know what is the good thing about and the most surprising thing? That you're not gonna get bored. He will talk about hour and hour of history and you won't get bored. But we will leave this for another occasion again. So as you can see in this slide, we must mainly thanks to the Roman Empire for the extension and importance that they gave to the wine at the time. Although it was the Phoenician 1,000 years ago through the merchants who introduced the most advanced cultivation and production techniques of the time to the Iberian Peninsula, perhaps even the most sustainable strains, I must say. Some centuries later, as I say, Roman discovered the quality of the wine of Hispania, and the wine from the Duero riverbank were used to supply the armies to get, you know, strong and powerful. And obviously today, you can see all around here many Roman mosaics with many ornamental motifs, all related to cat Bacchus, such as, well, all the ones you see here, Baños de Valdarados, which is 15 kilometers away from where we are. We also have a necropolis of the empty Pintia site. This is in Padilla del Duero, in Peñafiel. But, you know, anywhere you're going, you're gonna see grapes related to wine rituals, you know, and introduced by the Roman, that is easy to see. So again, whenever you come for the harvest, you will be able to see a lot of this about. And I mentioned, you know, back to our days, our regulatory council for the designation of a region, Ribera del Duero, was established in 1982. Okay, winemaking. Let's go for the interesting thing. Okay, so according to our regulatory council, the wine produced under the designation of origin must have at least these analytic values that you can see on the slide. We're talking about minimum of alcohol of 11.5, which is none of our wines. We have much more than that. With maximum of residual sugar of 4 grams per liter, which is quite too much. We normally have 1.3 residual sugar per liter anyway. So the elaboration process that we do in the winery is very traditional. Obviously, we don't do wines for masses. We don't have volume for that. We have, you know, we're trying to maintain the quality and its maximum level, having a volume of I think 20,000 cases per year, because you count it in cases of 12, don't you? When you talk about volumes in United States, or you count it per bottles. I'm saying to you, Tony. Sorry.
No, 12 bottles in a case.
So yeah, that would be 20,000 cases per year.
Okay.
You normally count it more in total cases.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We do just say bottles or liters. Anyway, I put it easy like that. So anyway, this processes, the small process, this winemaking allow us not only to make a very good selection of the grapes that enter in the winery, but also a better control of the fermentation, and basically to not have additions of artificial substances to carry out the winemaking. So the wines end up being made practically with almost no human intervention. This is one of our main pillars. And again, the word healthy come to mind when I say create healthy wines. Let's talk finally about the terms that we mentioned before that regulate the aging time that the wine must age in oak barrels. These terms are for the Ribera wine district, obviously. Obviously, it might vary for other wine district in other area, and you know, they might not be the same like in Ribera del Duero. They might have different ones. But here in Ribera del Duero, we have what we call young wines and also wines called roble. We can say these are our entry-level wines, okay, the initial ones. And then we have Crianza, Reserva, Gran Reserva wines that it might be sound more to you, these terms, which is, they are our high-end level wine, let's say. that way. So if we say, when we say young wines, which are those that do not age in barrels, and they are, they are type of very fresh and very aromatic wines. They have something in common. They are very fruit character, mainly common. That is something very common of the Tempranillo. This fruity character, with all aromas of and flavor of berries, plums, blackberries. They are very juicy, easy to drink. Basically, a daily wine. These wine are bottled as soon as they are ready after the wine making. Perhaps stabilize a little bit for a little period, but then, quickly they are on the market. So you can imagine they are very expressive. They are very juicy, very drinkable. Then we have a wine, a term that say roble, that is a wine that has spent a short period in oak barrels. Normally no more than 5-6 months. Just enough to polish the tannins, a bit too dry when they are young. This is easy with the Tempranillo to find, high tannins. But when we polish them a little bit in the oak barrel, excuse me, we providing with the wood this bouquet that make it easy to drink. And then we get some note of vanilla, toasted, balsamic, depending on the type of barrel that we're gonna use. The term crianza, perhaps most heard by you, refers again to the minimum time that a wine must remain aging in oak barrel and later in the bottle. Okay, so let's say in this case that we have to leave the wine a minimum of 12 months in barrel and 12 in bottle, a minimum. Then you can go further 12. But the wine district say that it has to be a minimum of 12 in oak barrel and 12 in bottle. Obviously, the tasting notes in this wine that has been aging during already this time must be noted, and this reflected in the fact that the color of the wine is no longer as bright as the young ones. It's also true that our wines, because the Tempranillo keep the reflection of the youthful, because it's a grape like that, very lively with a lot of character, not only aromatic and visual color. And Reserva and Gran Reserva, which is the grandparents of the winery, the Old Fox. I don't know if anybody knows what is that, but anyway, the Old Fox. The difference that exists between these two come obviously from the aging time again in barrel, which in the case of the Reserva, that should be a minimum of 12 months, and then 24 in bottle in the case of the, so I say a minimum of 12 months in oak and 24 in bottle. And in the case of the Gran Reserva, it will have to be a minimum of 24 in bottle. The rest of the month will remain in bottle until reaching a minimum of 36 months of aging. I mean, in most of the cases, the time in the bottle is much longer, given the fact that the time that it takes for the wine to be open must be counted too, and in some cases can be reached many years. So we're talking about more than 36 months in bottle in most of the cases. So obviously this wine have more complex notes than any of the previous one. Note that will also come from the terroir, the grape, and the wood used, obviously. Now we normally use here American, French, Hungarian, and Spanish. These are the wines that perhaps, Tony, the wine gurus like to talk most about. I guess they really express a lot of complexity, and also I think is part of the will or mastery of the winemaker. I think the young wines, they are ready just to go, but when we talk about those reservas, crianzas, is more about the mastery of the winemaker. And then we also have rosé wines within our denomination of origin, which we can even age them for 6 months in barrels. It's not our case. We prefer to extract all the fruit aromatic potential of the Tempranillo grape in these wines. I mean, for me, it's very pleasant. They're very fresh, very typical aromas of strawberries, berries, are very, very excellent wines. Actually, we sell quite a lot in California of those rosé wines. I think we believe that this is just because the climate is much warmer, or as well, it's more summer season. But I think the rosé wines, as well, they express quite a lot about what the Tempranillo character is about.
Are they rosé wines? They're rosé wines made with the Tempranillo grape?
Yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
we just ferment them. We just do. I mean, we don't macerate them that much of time than the reds, just to give the enough color to it, and then they come very fresh. It's for us. Is the best expression of the Tempranillo just recently pressed, full of aromas, strawberries, berries. I mean, I think they are beautiful wines. People, they don't really take much into consideration in these days, but
we have a customer base that are big into rosés and love different types of rosés.
okay, so we can look at it in if there is any chance to go into Wisconsin, yeah. And okay, and finally the white wines. As I said before, we can age we can say the white and rosé for about 6 months. But again, we prefer to bottle them directly. Anyway, our white wines come from the Dio Rueda, the denomination of origin Rueda. It's 100% Verdejo grape. Rueda district is just together to Ribera del Duero, if you just carry the Ribera del Duero toward the east to Portugal. So, it's very close. I mean, if you have never tried a wine with Verdejo grape, you will notice that it's also, very fresh and aromatic. I don't know if you have had the chance to, it's plenty nuances of tropical fruits such as lychee, mango, pineapple, and
No,
some.
Very familiar with Verdejo.
Are you? Okay.
Yes.
You are carrying some of them already.
Yes.
I mean, I love them. They come with excellent, good acidity. Some people, they blend it with Viura, but we like to have 100% Verdejo, which, I mean, they keep all the complexity notes, and that you can pair it with any fish, seafood, poultry, white meat, I mean, for those they like white wine, it's a wine must taste. And okay, I think we are almost at the end. Other aspect to consider. Gabi.
Oh, familiar.
Hey, there you go. You have the same shirt. The capacities. Basically, some details just to keep in mind. So one of them is the capacities. The oak barrel capacity can be maximum of 330 liters, but we commonly use those 225 Bordeaux type. We can also use wooden tanks of 600 liters for winemaking, or just use them as a keepers. But again, in these tanks does not count any aging process. In order to age it, the wine will have to pass to normal authorized barrels if you want to age them to those 220 303. Mention again the grapes authorized for the elaboration of the wines, which is the Tempranillo or Tinta del País. Also, we have Cabernet, Garnacha, Malbec, Merlot, Albillo. This Albillo white, we use it to provide acidity naturally instead to use external additives. So we get the wine more, or that's why we're trying to get more health in the wine. Levels, the level, obviously the level here has to be validated by the mint. I don't know, do you say mint? The currency house?
Oh, yeah, mint.
Mint, yeah. So it has to be validated by the mint. So the front and back level, normally, well, our graphic designer made them, and some of them are Gabi made. And then the Regulatory Council provide a small rectangular level that is usually placed under the back level, which is what identifies that the wine belongs to the Ribera del Duero wine district. This is the level made at the mint that guarantee, obviously, the quality of the wine and its provenance. And the different levels, well, according to packaging, we like to dress the bottle according to the wine inside. And some of our wine levels, you will see them if you have the chance to taste them or whenever you have them with you. Some textile and paper, and then our premium wines, for example, the Reserva, we use tin. We made the label with tin, which is quite peculiar and distinctive level, that it catch the eye of the people. Is the one that you see in the photo, the big bottle on the left of Gabi. This is a tin label made. I don't know if you see it very well in there, but it's nice. It's nice to. Okay, I think this is it. We've gone so quick, or no? I don't know. I don't know if we've gone so quick. Anyway, apparently we haven't been more than of the people that we are. But anyway, thanks, Tony, for your attention and interest. And
I will follow up with Laurent and make sure that he contacts you, because I would love to have you or even Laurent get the wines and bring them in and have us taste them and decide if we want to carry them in our store.
Well, I mean, that could be great. We have, I don't know if I mentioned it before, we have an importer in Michigan, but I don't know if you can buy from an importer of Michigan. You have to go through the 3-tier system, I believe, in
Yes.
the States.
Yeah, and they have to be Wisconsin distributor.
So it has to be Wisconsin. Okay. Well, so I mean, let's cross finger that.
Well, as I said, I will follow up with Laurent and see if he's interested and if he can bring him in. If he's not interested, then I will consider another distributor and have them contact you one.
Okay, that would be fantastic. That would be great. Yeah. Okay, I mean, that we will be in touch, and anyway, I will know news about Logan soon, and so we can follow up after that.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So thanks for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you.